Hello and welcome to another Magic the Gathering draft video. It's Al here with you, and this is how to draft MTG. Today we're looking at my Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth draft guide. As always, I've tried to gather as much information as possible and put it into as concise and short a video as I can. If I've done a good job of that, please be sure to click like, leave a comment, and click subscribe to support the channel. Let's start with the mechanics, beginning with The Ring Tempts You. Certain cards contain the text, "The Ring Tempts You." This causes a ring emblem to be created in our command zone, similar to the City's Blessing, if you remember that from Rivals of Ixalan. The ring gains its top ability, and then we are required to choose a creature we control, if we have one, to become the ring bearer. That ring bearer is going to gain that ability that the ring has. Each time the ring tempts you, the ring gains its next ability, and we may then select a new ring bearer if desired. That creature will inherit all the abilities so far unlocked. Once the ring has all 4 abilities, subsequent triggers can still change the ring bearer, but no new abilities are added. Look for low power, high toughness creatures that give bonuses when they attack or damage the opponent, or effects that trigger when you draw your second card in a turn, as the first 2 abilities of the ring are the most impactful and will be online the most often. The ring bearer is also legendary and will count for any cards that check for legendary permanents. Next mechanic is Amass. Amass creates a 0/0 Orc army token if you don't already have one, and then adds that many +1/+1 counters to your army token. Look to find ways to sacrifice the Orc army for value or trade it away in combat where possible, as creating a fresh army token is usually worth more than adding to an existing one. And our final mechanic is food. Some cards create food tokens, which count as artifacts, have the subtype food, and can be sacrificed for 2 mana to gain 3 life. They can also be used for other effects in this set, as we're going to find out in a little bit. Talking a little overall strategy, the set has a fairly flat power level amongst the commons, and there are very few bomb rares. The uncommons appear to stand out a little bit more than usual. Drafting a good curve of creatures and prioritizing removal and card advantage will be important. Finding the color pair with the best synergies will be of utmost importance to break the power level parity. We'll get right into the pick order here. As always, use your own judgment. If you think a card not mentioned here fits into one of these categories, go with it. The exercise of evaluating cards in terms of these categories is more important than the exact ordering of the cards. Within each category, I've ordered the cards alphabetically and by color, and I'll be using the limited resources grading scale. Starting with A's are bomb rares. If it looks good, it probably is good. Generally speaking, the best rares are powerful, 1 color, and don't cost more than 6 mana. Here's a list of rares and mythics I would recommend first picking if you open them, starting with our colorless cards. And pronunciation, you're going to have to forgive me on a lot of these. Anduril, Flame of the West, Horn of Gondor. In white, we've got Flowering of the White Tree and the Battle of Bywater. In blue, we've got Rangers of Ithilien and Scroll of Isildur. In black, we have Isildur's Fateful Strike, One Ring to Rule Them All, and Witch King of Angmar. In red, we've got Eomer, Marshal of Rohan, and There and Back Again. In green, we've got Delighted Halfling, Fall of Gilgalad, and Galadriel, Gift Giver. And multicolor, we've got quite a few here. Aragorn and Arwen Wed, Elrond, Master of Healing, Eowyn, Fearless Knight, Faramir, Prince of Ithilien, forgive my pronunciation again here, Flame of Anor, King of the Oathbreakers, Pippin, Guard of the Citadel, Sauron the Dark Lord, Sauron the Lidless Eye, Shagrat, Loot Bearer, and Balrog, the Balrog, Flame of Udun. There we go. Got through all of those ones. So those are our bomb rares. After those, we're looking for our B level cards. So these are other cards that we're likely to first pick out of a pack or second pick. These have a high power level, are efficient, colorless or 1 color, and fit into multiple archetypes. These tend to include the set's premium removal. Looking at white, we've got Bill the Pony, Eowyn, Lady of Rohan. Reprieve, Samwise the Stout-Hearted, and Shire Sheriff. In blue, we've got Gandalf, Friend of the Shire, Glorious Gale, Stern Scolding, and The Bath Song. In black, we've got Bitter Downfall, Claim the Precious, Dunland Crebain, Gollum's Bite, Nazgul, Oath of the Grey Host, and Voracious Fellbeast. In red, we have Eomer of the Rittermark, Foray of Orcs, Grishnak Brash Instigator, Ranger's Firebrand, Smite the Deathless, and in green, we've got Glorfindel, Dauntless Rescuer, Quick Beam Upstart Ent, and Stew the Conies. Past these B-level cards, we'll start to be looking to pick up a Signpost Uncommon and start to build towards one of the following archetypes. First is Blue-White. Draw 2. The Signpost Uncommons are Gwahir the Windlord and Prince Imrahil the Fair. Gwahir the Windlord is 4 white-blue for 4/4 flying vigilance, gives other birds vigilance, and it costs 2 less if we've drawn 2 or more cards this turn. Prince Imrahil is white-blue for a 2/2 human noble. When you draw your second card in a turn, you get a 1/1 soldier, human soldier token. So, white-blue grants bonuses when we draw our second card for the turn. The ring's second ability will be one of the better ways to do this. Look for cards with the ring tempts you or other ways to incidentally draw cards like Errand Rider of Gondor. Next archetype is White-Black Tokens Sacrifice. Signpost Uncommons, Denethor Ruling Steward, which is 1 white-black for a 2/4 human noble. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under your control this turn, you get a 1/1 token. Pay 2, sack another creature. Each opponent loses 1 life. You gain 1 life. Pretty powerful card. And Shadow Summoning is white-black for a sorcery that creates 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. Very powerful card indeed. Look for creatures that want to be put into the graveyard, like Gollum Patient Plotter, or cards that want us to sacrifice our small creatures, like Mirkwood Bats. 1/1 flying spirit tokens should make for great ring bearers as well, so keep that in mind. Next is White-Red Humans. Signpost Uncommons, Shadowfax, Lord of Horses, 3 red-white for a 4/4 horse with haste. Gives your other horses haste too, if that matters. Whenever it attacks, you may put a creature card with lesser power from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. So we can get a little bit of a crazy turn there where you play this, swing with it, and also put like a 4-drop into play or something. That'd be pretty nuts. And also we have Theoden, King of Rohan, 1 red-white for a 2/3 human. These are both legendary, by the way. Whenever it or another human enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gains double strike. So red-white is a curve-out aggro deck that wants to play a lot of cheap creatures. If we have Theoden, we will want to prioritize cards that make multiple humans, like Rally at the Hornburg and Protector of Gondor. Next is green-white Food. Signpost Uncommons are Butterbur, Bree Innkeeper, 2 green-white, 3/3 legendary creature. At the beginning of your end step, if you don't have a food, you get a food. And Frodo Baggins, green-white for the 1/3 legendary creature. When it or another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, the ring tempts you, and as long as Frodo is your ring bearer, it must be blocked if able. So Frodo doesn't quite seem to fit into the green-white plan, but it's a solid creature in its own right. And of course, Butterbur seems pretty powerful, as always having access to food is going to be pretty nice here. Green-white is a mid-range deck that benefits from using food tokens. Look for cards that create food alongside a well-costed effect, such as Many Partings, and cards that can use food, like Mushroom Watchdogs. Next is Blue-Black Control. Signpost Uncommons, Ring Sight, 1 blue-black for sorcery. The ring tempts you, and you get to search your library for a card that shares a color with a legendary creature you control, and reveal it, put it into your hand. Not a great card, not really a reason to get into this deck, but you might play one if you're in the deck already. And then the real banger here, the Mouth of Sauron, 3 blue-black for 3/4 legendary. Enters the battlefield, target player mills 3 cards, usually be yourself. Then you amass Orcs X, where X is the number of instant and sorcery cards in that player's graveyard. So you're hoping to play this and get a 4/4, 5/5, or something huge like that, which is a great deal for this amount of mana. We want to disrupt our opponent's game plan with cheap spells like Glorious Gale and pull ahead with card advantage from cards like Arwen's Gift. The Mouth of Sauron acts as our finisher, using it to mill ourselves and create a giant orc army. Look for creatures with flash to pair with our cheap interactive spells. Next is blue-red spells. Signpost uncommons, Bilbo Retired Burglar, 1 blue-red for a 1/3 legendary. When it enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. When it deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Just a great card by itself. Doesn't really have anything to do with the deck, but it's really good. And Gandalf's Sanction, the real hitter, is 1 blue-red for sorcery, deals X damage to a creature, where X is the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. Excess damage is dealt to that creature's controller instead. So we want to maximize the amount of spells we're putting into our graveyard. Look for cheap interactive spells like Smite the Deathless, alongside cheap spells that draw cards like Birthday Escape. After filling our graveyard with cheap spells, we can aim Gandalf's Sanction at a small creature and deal a huge amount of excess damage to the opponent. This deck will require multiple Gandalf Sanctions or ways to rebuy them, such as Treason of Isengard. Next is blue-green. Oh, sorry. Before I forget, you can splash Mouth of Sauron in a blue-red deck. You could splash Gandalf's Sanction in a blue-black deck. If you have enough card draw, this is not too hard to do, so you will see people doing this. Look out for that. Very useful. Next is blue-green Scry. Here we are. I'm back. Signpost uncommons, Arwen Ondomiel. Sorry, so bad. And Legolas, Counter of Kills. So this deck just wants it to scry a bunch. Arwen is blue-green for a 2/2. Whenever you scry, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. She's legendary, by the way. And 4 green-blue to scry 2. So great in the early game, great in the late game. Excellent card. And then Legolas, Counter of Kills, is 2 green-blue for 2/3 reach. When you scry, if it's tapped, you may untap it. Do this only once each turn. And whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a 1/1 counter on Legolas. A little less powerful, but can untap at instant speed and eat it, an opposing creature that's attacking you, which is pretty nice. So blue-green wants to scry as much as possible. Look for cheap or incidental ways to scry, like Lothlorien Lookout, and cards that gain bonuses when we scry, such as Nimrodel Watcher. And as I kind of said there, Legolas can untap and ambush attackers if we have an instant with scry, such as Hithlan Knots. Next is black-red Amass. Signpost uncommons, Mauher Uruk-hai Captain. Black-red for a 2/2 legendary creature with menace. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters will be put on an army, goblin, or orc you control, you get an extra counter. And Ugluk of the White Hand, 2 black-red for a 3/3 legendary creature. Whenever another creature you control dies, put a 1/1 counter on this. If that creature was a goblin or orc, it gets 2 counters instead. So black-red wants to play with as many cards with Amass as possible. Look for cards that gain bonuses when we control an orc, such as Grond the Gatebreaker, as we'll most often have an orc army, or cards that sacrifice, like Improvised Club. Next is black-green Midrange. Signpost uncommons, Old Man Willow, 2 black-green for a star legendary tree folk, power and toughness equal to number of lands you control. So it's a 4-mana 4/4 right off the bat. Whenever Old Man Willow attacks, you may sacrifice another creature or token. When you do, target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-2. So this can kind of kill annoying ring bearers and things like that. And we've got Rise of the Witch King, a little less powerful, 2 black-green for sorcery. Each player sacrifices a creature. If you sacrifice a creature in this way, you may return another permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So Old Man Willow's the real standout. Rise of the Witch King is just okay. Black-green gets access to food and Amass as ways to generate extra resources to outlast more aggressive strategies. Look for good rate cards that generate multiple game pieces, such as Gothmog, Morgul Lieutenant, and Generous Ent. Last archetype is red-green Aggro. Signpost uncommons, Friendly Rivalry, green-red, for an instant, target creature you control and up to 1 other target legendary creature you control, each deal damage equal to their power to target creature you don't control. Pretty good card there for instant speed. And Strider, Ranger of the North, 2 red-green for a 4/4 legendary creature with landfall. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Then, if that creature has power 4 or greater, it gains first strike until end of turn. So, a real beater by himself. However, red-green is just a nuts and bolts aggro deck and appears to be lacking in synergy and power. I would recommend avoiding this color pair unless you have enough uncommons and rares that you just kind of have to play both of these colors. Okay, so we went through our A's, we went through our B's, then we start picking up signpost uncommons and trying to get into one of these archetypes. Let's talk a little draft strategy. So kind of saying the same thing here, but picks 1 through 3, we just take the best card, monocolored if possible. Those are going to be our A's and our B's. Picks 4 through 8, we're going to continue to take the best card, and these might be signpost uncommons or more filler cards that are a little less powerful, but we're going to start to read signals. And what that means is we're going to start to form a picture of what colors are being passed to us. For example, if we see a few solid black cards, picks 4 through 8, there's a good chance that players to our right are not drafting black. This means that black is open. This means that we can reasonably expect to see good black cards in Pack 3 as well, as those same players will be passing to us again. We also may see a late signpost uncommon, indicating that its color pair may be available. Picks 9 through 14 is known as the Wheel. These are the cards that no one at the table wanted. The pack has gone all the way around the table, and these are the cards that are left. If we're seeing several playable cards of one color, it's possible that no one else at the table is drafting that color, and we should strongly consider moving in. By the end of Pack 1, hopefully we've identified our main color. This is the color we have the most quality cards of, or is the most open, and hopefully both. Staying as close to one color as possible will leave us with more options going forward. In Packs 2 and 3, continue to take powerful cards of our main color where possible. Let the good cards we open or get passed determine our secondary color and final archetype. And a warning to ignore signals in Packs 2 for the most part. The packs are moving in the opposite direction, so the signals can be completely different from Pack 1. It is normal to not see as many cards of our main color in Pack 2, so don't panic. Pack 3 is passed to the left once again, and we will be rewarded for staying the course. I just want to outline highlight some combat tricks, as these tend to overperform on the 17 lands data, but are generally not high picks, as you don't need more than 2 or 3 of them. But these are the good ones: Escape from Orthanc, Deceive the Messenger, Orcish Medicine, Shalob's Ambush, Bombadil's Song, and Pippin's Bravery. And just want to highlight the creatures with land cycling. These creatures are a little better than they look and should be taken when there is no other obvious pick in the pack. These are Eagles of the North, Lorien Revealed, Troll of Khazad-dûm, Oliphant, and Generous Ent. Finally, a few deck building tips before we go today. Play 2 colors. Avoid splashing a 3rd color at all costs unless the deck is specifically designed to support multiple colors. Play 17 lands. A deck with no cards that cost more than 4 mana can afford to play 16 lands. Or if you have a lot of cards that draw cards as well, you can shave lands, which might happen in the blue-red or blue-black decks, potentially. More likely the blue-red, though. And finally, play a low curve. Most limited decks want 6 or more 2-mana value creatures, around 4 3-mana value creatures, some 4-mana value creatures, and very few cards that cost 5 or more mana. We want to have a creature in play by turn 2 or be able to interact with our opponent's creature. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please click like, leave a comment, say hello, click subscribe. Let me know how your drafts are going. You can comment, let me know how your drafts are going, or you can reach out to me directly, howtodraftmtg@gmail.com, if you want to say hello or inquire about private coaching, or if you have any other questions or anything like that. Thanks again so much for watching. Good luck in your drafts, and we'll talk to you very soon. Bye for now.